Good afternoon. My name is Zigang, and this afternoon this session have a little bit delayed, but I think we can start it now. So this session is focused on medical research collaboration between Minnesota and China. The reason, we want to have this session is very simple and very clear. And the last few years, especially last year, that's in an article in Science magazine, and it indicated probably during the next few years, it's already in this country, we already experienced the funding for NIH for medical research is consistently decline or keep the way, not increase. That's another way to say it. And therefore, including myself, all of our scientists, experienced difficulties. The funding rate is declined very dramatically. When I started the research a few years ago, the payline, NIH payline, we submitted a grant. 100% of 100 applications, we get around 30 percentile. 30 will get funded, but today it's below 10. It depends on the different situation. In the opposite, in the mainland of China, the funding situation is they experienced a wonderful situation and continue growth every year after year, and they predict year 2020 or 2024 probably will be reach the same level as the United States. After that, there will be for sure will surpass us, and therefore it is a wonderful idea if we can do a collaboration between these two countries, because disease, including cancer, heart disease, this is the common enemy for all humankind. So this is a perfect target for these two countries to work together, and we can help them and they can help us, or we can help humans. So this is why I'm so happy, China Center try to set up this one to talk about the medical research collaboration between U.S. and China, and especially Minnesota and China. Especially Minnesota, we are very advanced in medical research, and this is why I invited Jing Chen from Mayo Clinic. This is one of the best hospital medical center in the whole world. That's in Minnesota, and also University of Minnesota Medical Center. It's the best university medical center, again, in the world. So I would like to start talk between my own experience, and then I'll share the others with the other panels. So I actually work in the Hormel Institute, and this institute is part of university. And as a matter of fact, Jing and others is a former advisory member of this institute. I'm very happy they are here in the audience as well. So, as you already heard before, the previous panel talking about agriculture. So the Hormel company is a food company. It's very famous on the agriculture. They produce spam. Probably everybody heard the spam. However, today I'm not talking about spam at all, because the Hormel Institute is funded by the Hormel Foundation. This is the Hormel company's founder. That's probably the next slide. This gentleman is Jesse Hormel, who is a founded the Hormel Foods, who actually invented the spam. Okay, he make a lot of money, make a fortune, and therefore he have a dream. Okay, that dream is establish a scientific research institute, beneficial medical research in his hometown. That's in Austin, Minnesota. This is why, even though the institute belongs to university, but it's far away from the main campus. You need to drive 1.5 hours from here to Austin, because that's his hometown. And the mission of the institute to mainly conduct medical research as well as agriculture, if that applies to benefit a human being. So the institute actually is established in 1942. So it's one of the oldest medical research institutes in this country. It's a little bit younger than NIH, just 1 or 2 years younger than NIH. So the institute actually have a very glorious history and publish a lot of papers, a lot of research achievement, including the former director, Ralph Hormel, who discovered the essential fatty acid. He actually gave the name of the omega-3, omega-6. I always use this example because omega-3 and 6 are very popular nowadays. Every one of you, including myself, sometimes take it to prevent all kind of disease, okay? And he actually is one of the member, probably the only member of our university, University of Minnesota in nutrition. And I know Paul and others are old friend of Ralph, and Ralph, unfortunately, just passed away last year in the age of 95. So the institute actually, in the last, many years, receive a lot of students from China and have a lot of huge exchange from the Chinese government, different universities. Since I became the director 2001 or 200, I cannot remember exactly. I, of course, being a Chinese American, I should take the advantage. And I promote a lot of collaboration between our university, not only the institute, but between our university. I actually together traveled many times with our president of university, go to China, and including the CEO of Mayo Clinic. I traveled with him and several times to China to establish the relationship and the collaboration. This is one of the example, last year, and at that time, the Minister Chen, Minister of Health of China, visited us, and together with the governor of the Henan province, this is one of the province, it's the agricultural province, it's the biggest province in China. So only that province is over 0.1 billion people over there, that province alone. So during this process, we will actually strengthen our collaboration, and we would like to establish, very strong collaborations between our university and our institute with China. So because of time, everyone only have 10 minutes. I should stop here and introduce the next speaker. That is Dr. Gong. Dr. Changzhen Gong is received a master and Ph.D. from University of Minnesota and bachelor and master degree from Shandong University, China. He is the president of the American Academy of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, and he actually run a huge traditional Chinese medicine program here in Minnesota. So I would like to invite him to share his experience with you. Please, Dr. Gong. You can hear, because this microphone is already. Some slides. Just touch the next. That's not me.
That's not you?
No.
That's me and mine. That's my talk. Next one. That's my talk.
So just
Let's keep going down. Oh, anything else?
I'm the last one, I guess. Okay.
Oh. Sorry.
I'm honored to join this group, and with Dr. Liao and Dr. Jing. They are in the leading institute and the leading area. Okay. I'm not in one specific area. Okay. I'm quite, in this old tradition, acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. I'm another piece of honor is, I graduated from U of M. Okay. That's back to 1995. Okay. And I still remember those wonderful 5 years spent, both my wife and myself, graduated from U of M, and really we spent a lot of hard-working years, okay, for our degrees. Well, in the middle 1990s, okay, actually complementary medicine and alternative medicine, the trend already started, okay, much earlier than that. But actually, the demand from the general public is dramatically increasing. Okay? That's basically, just present an opportunity for one of the ancient medicine, which is traditional Chinese medicine, okay, to really serve in the public. Okay? So pretty much, just after I graduate, very quickly, I feel, well, this is something, should bring to the United States. Okay? So I didn't bring a specific service, a specific, products, but instead, well, the challenge for me is how to bring this ancient medical system to the United States and to Minnesota specifically. So 1997, that's the year I established the American Academy for Traditional Chinese Medicine, okay, just a block away from here in Dinkytown in the old University Technology Center building. Now it's demolished, become a student dorm to accommodate more Chinese students, I guess. Okay. So, we made several years' efforts try to build a curriculum to fit the American students. And also, we, just try to interview many instructors, professors who can teach in the United States. Okay. And another thing is really, we build one of the most complete Chinese medicine library in the United States. Okay? And if you visit our small campus in Roseville, and although they over there, there are no way to compare the biomedicine library, at U of M, but there, that's house the most traditional Chinese medicine textbooks, journals, magazines. Okay? And we house about over 165 Chinese medicine journals in English and Chinese. Okay? Actually, we collect every single book published in English in the field of acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. Okay? Plus, about 10,000 volumes in Chinese language as reference in the field of Chinese medicine and acupuncture. Okay? So that basically lays the foundation for us to train, the future American Chinese doctors in the United States. Okay? Well, that's, basically the last 17 years' efforts. We have about, 200 graduates from the program. They practice, most of them, they practice in Minnesota. Okay? And also they start working in Mayo Clinic, hired one acupuncturist from our school. Okay? Abbott Northwestern hired one acupuncturist from our school. Okay? Unity, Mercy Hospital, hired one acupuncturist from our school. Okay? And many, many of them, basically, they provide service for the community, for the general public. Okay? And also over the years, we send quite a number of students. They are sponsored either by their family or now they sponsored by Chinese government scholarship to study for their Ph.Ds in China, in Chinese medicine. Okay, that's a major change in the past few years. Actually, they provide a full scholarship, tuition, room and board, even plane tickets between U.S. and China. Okay. Well, again, 25 years ago, when we come to the United States, everything we rely on the, the scholarship, the assistantship, from the universities, colleges. Okay, it seems now, the other, going the other way. Okay, but that's really benefit a lot of students who study acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. Well, we also established a platform for publishing researches conducted in China, okay, published in English. This is the International Journal for Clinical Acupuncture. This is in continuous publication for over 20 years, okay, and 4 issues a year. that basically supply to the medical community, the update for the Chinese medicine research. Okay. Actually, Chinese medicine research, acupuncture research, almost published in every mainstream journals. Okay. This is very unique. Just publish acupuncture and Chinese medicine, basically it's a single purpose in that field. Okay. If you keep, curious about, really the research in this field, okay, and if you go to PubMed, you will see the number of acupuncture research keep increasing, just every month there were several hundred publications increase that number. Okay. And now over 20,000 public research is published, registered in PubMed. Okay. Well, to bring the medicine to the United States, a huge challenge is, that's a classical, it's a kind of ancient medicine. And how to bring that medicine, to a kind of, science-based mind or, science-based background students, that's a challenge, So modernize acupuncture, modernize the traditional Chinese medicine, that's, one of our mission, for school, for teaching, and also for the research. Okay. You can see, this is kind of, the Chinese edition, and some portions are translated into English, published in journals. Okay, and we spend quite a bit of efforts to build a modern acupuncture. Okay, basically that's we provide an alternative model to traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture. Okay, just this system is built purely based on the science. It's science-based. Okay, all the the how it works, the indications, contraindications, is built on modern medicine tradition. Okay, on the other side, that's those classical formulas which have been in practice, in use for over several hundred years, even 1,000 years. Okay, but to understand those classical formulas in terms of just pharmacology, again, indications, contraindications, how interact with the drugs, and we finish about 100 volumes of those classical formulas. Okay, that's really a joint effort between our faculty here and the Chinese researchers in China. Okay, definitely this continue the way we build the program, and also we try to just bring this medicine to the United States. Thank you.
Our next speaker is from Mayo Clinic. Her name is Jing Chen, and she's my friend, and she's a professor in medicine and a director of gene expression in core. And she received a Ph.D. from University of California and M.D. from Beijing Medical University, and did a postdoctoral fellow in oncology center in Johns Hopkins with one of the best, medical doctor cancer research in the world. So maybe I would just save time. Jing, please.
Let me get my slides. So we'll go back one more time. Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. First of all, I'd like to thank Zigang and the organizers for inviting me to be here. I'm really honored to have this opportunity to share with you the experience of the Mayo Clinic, particularly in the recent years in interacting with China. I also want to thank Zigang for actually making a lot of headways in that area. He clearly, tirelessly making this effort of bridging the research gap between China and the U.S., and Minnesota particularly. I think maybe before many people have actually realized that. So I really a true champion and have done a lot. And by way of introduction, my name is Jing Chen. I am a consultant, which in the Mayo word is a word for tenure, for whatever it's worth, at Department of Lab Medicine and Pathology. And Mayo Clinic, for all of you here in Minnesota, probably is not new. It's one of the largest largest employees in the state. We have about 56,000 employees. Roughly 80% of those are stayed in Rochester. That's about an hour and a half from here. And Mayo Clinic was established by the Mayo. The father William Morrow Mayo in 1864. And in 1889, it became the first hospital open. At that time, the brothers, Charles and William, joined his father and formally established the Mayo Clinic. It became a group practice from 1892, and about 95 years, almost 100 years ago, 1919, it became a nonprofit. It was endowed to be a nonprofit organization. As Zigang Dr. Dong had mentioned earlier, Mayo Clinic is truly a world-class clinic recognized all over the world. The name is really very familiar to many people from every corner of the world. It accomplished that reputation by its very essence of the practice, that is the need of the patients comes first. And it's embolized that principle through several ways. First of all, is the team approach. Physicians, they are essentially on the same salary, so that everybody works toward the same goal, that's to enhance the care of the patient. So about how to provide the better diagnosis, how to save patient time, and how to make sure that patient time is efficiently used, and also the true respect of the patient's need and that of the patients and their privacy. I'm just, for the sake of time, give you a summary, a snippet really about the recent activity at the Mayo Clinic. Like many of you here, I was really impressed by the earlier opening symposium about the extent and engagement at U with China in many different aspects, through student education and through collaboration. At Mayo Clinic, about 3 years ago in 2011, the department that I am a part of, Department of Lab Medicine and Pathology, DLMP, signed a collaborative agreement with KindStar Global Diagnostic Company from Wuhan, China. This company basically essentially is a strategic partnership in which Mayo Clinic committed to providing support with esoterical tests to support the company in providing such tests in China. And at that time, about a year ago, 750 tests has been helped translating. Those are the tests that are standardly routinely performed in Mayo and being translated through consultant visiting, through double testing, to make sure that the test they done in China is exactly what they are performing at Mayo Clinic. And the target is to grow to about 1,500 to 2,000 through the collaborations. The other aspect of it, which I'm very proud to be a part of, was establishing this brother hospital relationship between Mayo Clinic and the Cancer Institute and Hospital at in Beijing for the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences. Here to your left is a joint at the day, was taken the time of the assignment of the agreement through the visit by Dr. Xie He from Beijing Chinese Academy of Science in Beijing Cancer Center, and then our Cancer Center Director, Dr. Bob Diazio, and the people that worked together at that agreement. The agreement mainly focusing on three things, that is to increase the intellectual collaboration on training, education, as well as the way of patient care through a series of exchanges and conferences. A part of that is shown in collaboration with the international office at the Mayo Clinic, which has really, in the past several years, organized, that Dr. Dong also and many others participate, a series of symposium that really introducing to the world, to most of them Chinese physicians and leadership management in the healthcare, as well as those people from the world, about the Mayo model of care. That is through a 2-day symposium, also including now a Chinese version on the 3rd day, a translated version for dedicated for the Chinese visit participants on what makes Mayo Clinic unique. And this is on the bottom lower right is a group of physicians, mostly in the senior leadership. Those are the chief, the associate director of the hospital, coming to Mayo Clinic at that time to participate in the symposium, as well as visiting the foundation house in the dinner that hosted by Dr. Diazio. And in addition, last year I had the honor working with Dr. Dong and others together hosting the conference, a joint conference between Mayo Clinic and the Cancer Hospital and Institute in Beijing on the China Forum Frontiers in Clinical Research. Our focus was mainly on translational medicine, that is using the state-of-the-art genomics to enhance patient care. That includes the diagnosis, prognosis, as well as effective treatment. And here in that symposium that's shown here, just quickly, the brochure, the participants, and on the lower right, Dr. Dong had particularly went to the hospital, giving them a special section to the students and fellows about how to establish a career in America, which I'm most grateful. And lastly, I want to just share with you through my work and that others, I think China, like many of us know, is in a tremendously growing period compared to the rest of the world. I was earlier at the business session talking about how much an opportunity that it is in China. But at the same time, I feel from my own experience, I would be remiss to say it's all glory. I think there are realities. The differences, even me as a Chinese-born person, I feel through my interactions, the culture difference, how we see things, how we react to things is different. The goals are different. In Mayo, we're talking about how to help patients the best. In China, there's so many patients. It's really hard. If you have 5 minutes to a patient, you're considered good. So there are things we have to deal with. But, and so those are the realities. But I think with patience, with creativeness, and with optimism, I think we have a very, very good future. Thank you.
So our last speaker, of course, one of the best, and is Dr. Kenneth Louie, who is the Associate Professor of Surgery and Surgical Director of the Heart Transplant Program and Head of Robotic Invasive Cardiac Surgery Program at University of Minnesota. And he actually is a Ph.D. Of surgery in Beijing Medical University and an MD in Wuhan Medical School. And he is one of the, actually the ranked 2001, 2012, the best doctor of America, and as well as the U.S. News and World Report top doctor in the year 2012. So Dr. Liao, please.
Thank you, Dr. Dong. The guests, I'm very honored to be here to give this 100 China Center 100 Years Celebration lecture. So let me quickly say just that I'm both trained at it. I'm very proud to say I'm both trained at University of Minnesota as a fellow of cardiothoracic surgery here, and also stayed here as a practicing surgeon and a faculty at the University of Minnesota. And my background, I was trained received my medical education in China and did my surgery residency in Beijing University. And so this is where the alumni was Jim. As you can see, I want to show you the slides. And Jim earlier showed there's a lot of excitement in China and in medical research area cooperation opportunities. But I think the urgent, from clinicians' perspective, I think there's a crisis as well in healthcare. As you can see in this photo, this is one of the very common scene in China in the hospital. Patients waiting in line to register to be seen by a doctor. The bigger the hospital, the longer the line. And then they're building hundreds of new buildings and try to make hospital bigger and bigger. Have you ever heard of that? A hospital about 6,000 beds? Yes, it's available in China. And then 5,000 beds, many. And it's 4,000 beds everywhere. So something's wrong here that, you have so many buildings, high-rising buildings, have fancy, all the other stuff, a lot of money thrown around, but unfortunately, poor patients waiting in line to be seen. And this group of patients are from the farmers, teachers, students, university professors, just indiscriminately, everybody has to wait. The only patients or the people are not waiting in line are high-ranking government officials, and now those connected. So because of this, I think there's a lot that can be done and can do better. I think partly why there's such a crisis, China has money, yes. They can build a lot of buildings. They can import a lot of equipment. But training a physician, training a doctor is not easy. It takes years to train a qualified doctors, especially surgeons take even longer. A lot of training put in place, and also a lot of practice, teaching, education. That speaks for the medical education. In the U.S., we are so fortunate, privileged, we have such a sound medical education system and medical teaching system. But unfortunately in China, for years of negligence on the prior system, there was no such a medical education system. With current boom of economics, then now suddenly we find, well, in China, there's a huge hole and of medical qualified doctors. So how do we solve this problem? And then, so here I want to share my lights. I think solutions will be, so I think China needs to learn from the U.S. U.S. has come a long way. Sorry, I can't think of those course. Come a long way of becoming the leading healthcare and hospital and in education as well. I think I would like to introduce, and we're in the perfect opportunity and position of Minnesotans, University of Minnesota or Mayo Clinic, to introduce U.S. medical education and residency training system in China. And medical students and resident exchange program, I think the first thing we can do by establishing such an exchange program so that we have the students from China coming here, and also students from University of Minnesota and faculty from University of Minnesota or the other U.S. institutions to go to China to teach and to influence and to change the healthcare medical education there. And so right now I think we have students coming from, in the past 2 years, from Beijing University to University of Minnesota, and they are supported by a scholarship. Actually, I donate the scholarship to both Beijing University and Wuhan University to sponsor the students come here to U.S. to have the internship and hospital experience to see firsthand in the U.S. how the medicine was performed, how the patient was treated. And then the other opportunity is the joint research and academic activity that Jim and Don, Dr. Don both mentioned. And then the third, I think, is this huge opportunity is the partnership opportunity with private hospitals in China. China, finally, the government allowed private hospitals to participate in the healthcare market. So with that, and currently the Chinese private hospital is less than 5% of the Chinese healthcare system. Now finally government lifted the limitation of private hospital. Anybody who has money can invest in private hospital, can partner with private hospital to provide healthcare to, as you can see, to help government release the crisis, to solve the crisis. So actually I am then helping to build one of the interesting hybrid model in China. That's the Wuhan University, one of the top-ranked university, with a Wuhan Asia Heart Hospital. That's the largest Chinese cardiovascular specialty hospital to form a business partnership. It is actually forming, and then they are under a new name is Wuhan University Asia Heart Hospital College. So this is going to, I was told, and 2 weeks ago is going to, the final stage is going to happen, and I'm very proud to be part of that. As you can see, this is a group of students last year come to University of Minnesota Hospital from Beijing University, and we also have this year's students, 4 of them sitting in the back, and then they are here from Beijing University as well. They are very talented, and they enjoy the University of Minnesota hospitality and experience. And also I went to China multiple times to teach the students, to make clinical rounds with them in the hospital. This is one of the things there. And also I partner with the local Chinese leaders and the academics to form the symposium. That was one of the main symposiums I co-hosted with them in China and 2 years ago. Thank you for your attention.
Do the research, the medical research and so forth. You will say a little bit more on that.
Yes. So I didn't, due to time, Mayo is a three shield, as shown in the symbol. The center shield is patient care. The other shield is research and education. I myself, I am an MD and Ph.D. I got my MD from Beijing Medical College, Dr. Liao, and I did my Ph.D. at UCSF. So I do not practice in America, unlike Dr. Liao. So my research, I'm a molecular biologist and cancer genetics person by training. My role at Mayo Clinic is really help engage the clinical in the lab of medicine and pathology, really translating the genetic, translating the knowledge that we know today about the genetic changes in cancer, using that to enhance patient care. That includes the entire spectrum from early detection to stratifying better treatment to prognosis. Is that any specific?
Another question is that you do the drug delivery.
We have a very good, we have a very strong pharmacogenomics program where that's Dr. Dick Winshow would be the leader of that, where he's really looking at what are the genetic phenotypes of an individual that affects the person's response to drugs, such as chemotherapeutic drug, for instance. Not particularly for delivery, Macy, but more about the response. And Dr. Dong may have some other area where he said.
No
okay.
comments. I just wanted to next thing.
So I just actually have two questions. One is I was wondering whether the U.S. system, the medical would be really fitting in China. Because as we can see, there are a lot of more patients, and if we have exactly the same way as the U.S. and how you would see that really fits. To me, I feel like maybe we need more general, the general practitioner, and to have more in a rural area, and that way probably not going to be all, condensed into the bigger hospitals.
Yes. So I just want to quickly comment on that. I agree with you that there's different countries have different way of practicing medicine, but the standard of taking care of patients is the same. Every single patient wants to get the attention of the physician. Every patient wants to have full, adequate time to discuss with the physician about their diagnosis and treatment. To me, if some doctor said, "Oh, I only have 3 minutes for you for a complex the disease," that's wrong. It's morally wrong. It's morally wrong, and that is you cannot adequately communicate with the patient, and that set up the initial stage for potential problems. That's why you can see in China, even though they say, okay, everybody's the hospital said we have so many patients, and then we can only allow 3 minutes for each patient to be seen. I think that's an excuse. So on the other hand, I think the solution, what's the solution? But China has been struggling with solving this problem because the oldest doctors and the skilled doctors, experienced doctors, well-trained, educated doctors stayed in the big hospitals. Nobody wants to go to the smaller hospitals or even rural area, that needless to say. So I think the solution is through the private market. And when there's a private market, there's competition. Right now in China, there's no or minimal competition among the big institutions. They're basically dominated by the university hospital in the big cities, so-called highly ranked hospitals like Beijing University. Each time I go there, talk to them, try to help them to say, hey, you guys have so many patients waiting outside the hospital. You guys do something to make their life easier. Oh, this is China. We have so many patients. Who cares? I mean, not say who cares, that there's not much we can do. So I think the only one thing that someone would respond is through market mechanism. Without market mechanism, without competition, nobody wants to change. I think privatization is the only way to move China forward and to solve China's healthcare crisis.
If I may, I have a quick question for the acupuncture. So I have heard talk about non-invasive, acupuncture. So the modern technology, and then you can stimulate the acupuncture spots and then induce the same kind of effect. Is that something you guys are studying?
Well, some technologies developed, but we still using most of the time still using the traditional technology. Okay? And that kind of invasiveness is very minimal. Okay? And the patient can handle very well, can tolerate very well. Okay? Actually, most American patients love acupuncture, love to be needled.
Yeah, question here. You talk about it from a hospital, from doctor perspective. I have a question about it. How about the patient? Let's say use patient education. Maybe I'll give you one example, say what I mean. And I live in Maple Grove. If I feel chest pain, I probably still go my family doctor or even go to the Maple Grove Hospital. I don't go Mayo Clinic first. My brother in China told me even he had a flu or headache or really minor thing, he want to find the biggest hospital as he can. And that really contributed how long the waiting line is. So how that is going to be contributed to the problem and what we can do to solve that, make that better.
You mean in China?
In China, right.
So I think, interesting enough, I have a lot of classmates, and when we go together, educate. Right now they are the hospital presidents of big university hospitals, even medical schools. So what behind what they told me is that the only way that probably can do is through privatization, so that you can make more doctors willing to go to those rural hospitals, small hospitals. The problem right now, those doctors in the rural hospital, small clinic, they're not well educated, or they're really horribly educated. They don't have, when doing their medical education, they didn't go through systemic training or education. And then they didn't have this. China, in many hospitals, they do not have rigorous or formal residence training. So you have someone graduate from medical school in 5 years, 6 years, and then they throw out to graduate to become a doctor. They don't really have nobody mentor them. So in those private small hospitals, and then there are a lot of doctors like that sitting there, and then of course nobody would trust them. And then with bad publicities, and then that everybody is rushed to the bigger hospital, and then the hospital has more experience.
If I may add,
Yes,
I
please.
completely agree. At the Mayo Clinic, the other aspect we are trying very actively doing is what they call e-consult. That is, in addition to patient to come have real complex medical conditions, to invite them or to receive them at the Mayo Clinic, we do it what they call an e-consult. That is, the patient or the physician of patient can come. There's actually just a website at mayoclinic.org. Somewhere you can find that. If you just say e-consult Mayo Clinic, you will find it online. For really very, very inexpensive price, you would be able to get access of a professional at the Mayo to give you the advice or sending you a record, and even through a video conferencing. Now you can do Skype, all kind of video opportunities that you would be able to consult the patient before he or she makes that decision for treatment. We feel through our collaboration with China that has also been discovered about having e-consult sites in China, both in the city as well as in the rural areas, to replicate that model.
So sorry, Dr. P.H. So Dr. P.H. didn't raise his hand. But before I want to mention that the students who came to here through Minnesota, University of Minnesota, they are the top selected students in Beijing University. Beijing University is ranked #1 in China, medical school, the best. But when they come to the U.S., to University of Minnesota, they find the clinical practice, the knowledge of physicians, the time the patient was served, and then there's huge gap between University of Minnesota and China. China did a lot needs to learn, even from the top medical school, medical hospital, and then to deliver that qualified care, quality care, so that way everybody dreamed of, every single patient. Dr. Peterson, sorry.
As you know, medicine is an art as well as a science. And Francis Peabody, 80, 90 years ago, said that the secret to caring for patients is caring for patients. Question actually for Dr. Liao and Gong, that, as I understand it, in China, the traditional medicine, acupuncture, you train just as many years as you do in our type of medicine. And is that caring aspect? I've often been suspicious that Americans are going to alternative medicine by the droves, of course. And part of it is because they're not being listened to. It's an act of the art of medicine. Is the art of medicine important in both of these areas? In China itself, caring, that is really communicating with a patient, that you're listening to them, you're caring about their complaints, and trying to do the best job you can. Very difficult, limited amount of time. It's probably almost impossible.
So
Is there a tradition in traditional Chinese medicine that comes close to what we call caring?
Well, look at, China using a kind of a hybrid model, for the traditional medicine training. Okay, I mean, definitely you have the medical school training just like the West medicine. Okay? In that direction, it's heavily influenced by the West medicine so much. Okay, and lots of lab work, research work, Okay, and but also China try to open an alternative way, which within Chinese medicine, resume that classical model. Just apprentice with those grandmasters, all the senior doctors, okay, for many years, for caring, for attention, for that service. That part, really resumed in the last few years. Okay, I see, that's kind of a positive thing.
Yes.
A positive thing.
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone attending this session. The last word, I want to everybody recognize Paul is here, and he's one of the pioneers doing the collaboration between U.S. and China for medical research and medical training as well. So let's give him a... So again, thank you. Bye.